for a few seconds. Good morning and welcome to ASL's HR in 10.
At just after 10.
Yes, it's normally at 10, it's a fair point. We had one or two minor technical glitches at about 2 minutes to 10, but we got there.
We're here.
So I'm Jason Perry.
And I'm Kimberly Bradshaw.
And we're here just after 10 to talk to you about HR and the exciting things that are going on. And I kind of feel, having had a few moments of anxiety to get us online at 10 o'clock, anxiety is a good place to start, don't you think?
I think it's a really good place to start because there's been research released, hasn't there, this week?
There is. I mean, it's one of those things. We've talked so much over the past few years about the big shift to home working, to hybrid working, to flexible working. And there's some really interesting studies come out. The numbers have shocked me, to be honest. But apparently 72% of firms globally are doing a big, shall we say, push back to the office.
I know, it's shocking given how tough recruitment is, and that's been a key driver for people making applications. It's personally, I think it's crazy.
Well, we know right now that it's hard to find people. There's no doubt on that. And we know the people want flexibility.
Yeah.
And yet the employers have decided a good thing to do would be remove the flexibility in order to, I don't know, it feels a little bit strange to me.
Well, as you know, I'm quite an opinionated lady, Jason.
Surely not.
My opinion on this is that what that says to me is that managers aren't able to manage effectively in a more virtual world, even though, there was evidence during lockdown that it was working brilliantly and people were more productive. And I think people, line managers want people back. It's that more grease thing, I came to visit you and you weren't at your desk.
Yes.
I think it's down to the management structure.
Yeah. But what's interesting here is one of the resultant effects appears to be a very, very sharp rise in work-based anxiety, if I'm phrasing it entirely right. People are suffering from mental health issues, apparently from being asked to go back to doing what they used to do. And this feels a little bit odd.
It does feel a bit odd, but not unsurprising, I don't think. I mean, certainly the research that we're talking about showed that mental health has declined by 50% since lockdown, not during, since.
Yeah.
And 2/3 of workers are anxious about, their anxiety's increased. Some have had panic attacks.
Would it be too cynical, do you think, to suggest that maybe the problem isn't returning to work? Maybe the problem is employee engagement about returning to work.
Well, funny you should mention that. Not a favourite topic of mine at all.
No.
I think you're right. And it's, why does everybody have to be back in the workplace all the time? If they want to do these kinds of things, engage people, involve them, get them participating. If they're involved in the decision, even if it isn't exactly what they wanted, they're more likely to buy into it than if you don't. And you go, this is what we're doing.
And there are some huge success stories still, aren't there, of people who have really got on board with this flexible working thing. And it doesn't matter whether you look at those organisations that are moving to a work from anywhere policy, the ones that have even engaged with the international possibilities on that. Clearly there are tax and legal implications to just get the contracts right.
Yeah.
But I still think one of the most exciting ones was Atom Bank up in the north east, who literally moved to a 4-day week and their recruitment rates shot up. We know this stuff works from an employee satisfaction point of view. It's a no-brainer if you can get it right, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's, I'm flabbergasted, and usually for me, I'm quite speechless on this topic because I find it so shocking.
So what's the answer then? What should employers be doing better? At its most simple level, if they want to get people back to work, and clearly there's a why, but if there's a compelling reason, how does one go about that?
Through engagement and consultation, as we mentioned earlier. That's You've got to get people on side.
Mm.
You can't tell them, because then they'll just go, oh. Also they're not considering people like the introverts who, for years they've had to force themselves into the office. They've had a marvelous time, being able to be themselves, being introvert, not on show in public all the time. It's about understanding your employees' well-being and what their needs are.
Yes. You just used that word that really struck me. And when I looked at the data behind this, and I'm looking down at my notes now, the second biggest reason people gave for this anxiety issue they had was people had become not used to being, quote, on show in the office, and they were having to adjust to presenting in real life to real world meetings. I don't know whether that's still the fallout to people being used to working in pyjamas with just a shirt on for camera calls. I personally am struggling slightly with this on-show principle, and I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from. What are your thoughts on that? Why is being on show a big issue to people?
Well, I think it's, people watch your behaviours, your non-verbal communication. They can't see that when you're not in the office. So there's, anxiety around, am I doing this? Am I doing that? I suppose, looking at it from a very cynical line man, not that this is how I view it, but some line managers might be cynical and thinking, well, they're using it to coast, or they're not actually being online. That kind of thing. So,
but it's really about supporting people through this, isn't it? Getting them back in gently, easing them back in, and making it work. Yeah. Kimberly, you've been at the CIPD conference, haven't you?
I have, yes, the Festival of Work, which opened yesterday. And I think what's very poignant to this is one of their sort of keynote speakers from yesterday was actually Fern Cotton, the TV radio presenter, and she was talking about resilience and mental health, and because there's
not that there's anything exciting going on in TV and radio presenters at the moment, is there?
No, not in the slightest. Gosh, yes. But she was talking about how having challenges, making mistakes are good because they help you build your resilience and they help you learn new ways of doing things and that kind of thing. And the whole premise was well-being at work. And I think this is another message to line managers. It is okay for people to make mistakes. It's how you help them deal with it and how they deal with it that's important. She was talking about her mental health challenges over the years, and some of the easy hints and tips that she gave, which I thought were quite helpful, were, share with people, but also be an active listener. But at the same time, leave it there. Don't take it home with you. Yes, you can be listening and supportive or open and sharing with other people, but being a little bit more bit more focused around that.
One of the lovely ones I came across was mistakes are always okay, just don't keep making the same one.
Exactly, because then that shows you haven't learned and you're not dealing with it. I think she also said, you can't be happy all the time, which some people unrealistically think you can. So she was talking about, really basic HR stuff. So pick your priorities and work on your mindset and, embrace the challenging times because that's where you can move forward. So I just thought that was a keynote. That was a key moment for me yesterday.
Yes. And it ties in quite well with what we've been talking there about the stresses of returning back to work. And I think to a large extent people have lost that resilience because we've had such an unusual period And
Yeah,
it's learning where the new centre is, isn't it?
it
Learning
is.
how to get your balance back.
Yeah, and being able
Yeah.
to talk about things openly and trying again. Keep trying.
Indeed. Indeed. Kimberly, guess what?
We're out of time.
We are. HR just after 10
And
has
just
been.
over 10.
Absolutely. So, as ever, thank you so much for joining me and talking about this. We will be back same time next week.